extra tall. John Isner, Riley Opelka, Ivo Karlovic. These guys walk onto a tennis court and the first thing everyone notices is just how much of them there is. We are talking 6'8", 6'11", 6'3", long arms, long legs, lean frame, built like a lamppost with a tennis racket. The body type is straightforward, very tall, limbs that go on forever, and a lean to athletic build carrying that height. Not bulky, not heavy, just long. The serve is where this body type makes life completely unfair for opponents. When Karlovic tosses the ball and swings down from 6'3", the angle coming off that racket is so steep that the ball kicks up hard and fast, and the returner has almost no time to process what just happened. Karlovic retired with over 13,000 career aces. That number is almost hard to believe. Opelka has broken records for most aces in individual matches multiple times. Isner has won entire matches by basically just holding serve and waiting for his opponent to blink. The height creates an angle on the serve that shorter players cannot physically replicate from the same spot on the court. It is a built-in advantage that starts before the point even begins. The reach at the net works the same way. Wide volleys that other players can barely reach get handled with a simple arm extension. The court shrinks. Angles that look like clean winners disappear into those long arms before the opponent even finishes their follow-through. Low balls are a serious problem though. When a ball sits at knee height or below, a 6'11" frame has to fold almost completely in half to get down to it. The balance goes. The timing goes. The clean contact goes with it. Players who slice heavily, keep the ball short, and take the pace completely off can absolutely take these guys apart. The awkward body mechanics on low balls is a genuine weakness that smart opponents target consistently. The physical cost of carrying that frame across a full match is significant too. Long joints absorbing constant impact, a heavy serve motion repeated hundreds of times per match, the energy required to move all of that height around a full court for 3 hours. It accumulates. Fast. Returns when the ball comes directly into the body are uncomfortable as well. The racket gets jammed, the frame gets in the way, and the reply usually goes short or into the net. 2. Lean and balanced, around 6'1" to 6'4", athletic build, proportioned evenly. Not too tall, not too short, not too heavy, not too light. Nothing extreme in any direction. This is what a tennis player is supposed to look like, and there is a very good reason for that. Djokovic at 6'2" and around 170 pounds moves like someone significantly lighter than he is. His recovery speed between shots is genuinely remarkable. He gets pushed wide, sprints to the corner, and resets into perfect position before the next ball arrives. That happens because his frame carries zero unnecessary weight. Everything works together without one aspect fighting against anything else. Sinner at 6'2" generates serious power off both wings through clean rotation and timing rather than pure bulk. The balanced frame loads and fires without the body getting in its own way. Tsitsipas at 6'4" uses his height without the movement penalties that come with extra tall players, because his proportions stay balanced throughout. The core advantage here is that there is no obvious physical hole, no single weakness an opponent can target and build an entire game plan around. These players serve well enough to hold comfortably. They move well enough to cover the court in long rallies. They grind well enough to go 5 sets without falling apart physically. The gap is the absence of one truly dominant physical weapon. Isner can win matches on serve alone on the right surface on the right day. Nadal can physically wear opponents into the ground through sheer muscle and intensity. Lean and balanced players need their whole game working. When the serve is slightly off or the movement is slightly slower, there is no single extreme physical tool to compensate. Djokovic turned this into the most complete game the sport has ever seen by making sure nothing ever broke down enough to matter. 3. Muscular, stocky, explosive, dense through the shoulders and legs. This build does not look like a conventional tennis player at first glance. Nadal at his peak was 6'1" and around 187 pounds of compact, dense muscle. Alcaraz at 6'1" carries similar explosive bulk, particularly through the lower body. When these players hit a ground stroke, the ball does not just travel fast. It travels heavy. Opponents who face Nadal's forehand consistently describe it as physically exhausting to deal with over a full match because the ball drives through with real weight behind every single shot. That weight comes from muscle, specifically from the ability to accelerate the racket through the hitting zone with violent force that pure technique alone cannot produce at the same level. Alcaraz adds explosive movement on top of that power. His first step off the mark is among the fastest on tour. His ability to stop completely mid-sprint, reset, and explode in a different direction comes directly from that powerful lower body doing work that a leaner frame simply cannot match. The intensity is relentless. Every ball hit hard, every point at full effort, every rally contested physically from start to finish. That intensity has a real cost. Muscles demand more oxygen than leaner tissue. They generate significantly more heat under sustained effort. They break down faster across long matches, long tournaments, and long seasons. Nadal's injury record across his career, knees, wrists, feet, abdomen, is the clearest possible illustration of what happens when maximum force gets driven through every shot for 20 years. The body eventually presents the bill. Elastic defender. Lean, flexible, light. Built entirely for movement and endurance rather than power. De Minaur is 6'4" and around 154 pounds. Hewitt in his prime was 5'11" and similarly light. Watch either of them move and the word elastic is the only one that really fits. They stretch out, spring back, and go again without the movement ever looking forced or labored. The defensive ability this build produces is genuinely hard to deal with as an opponent. De Minaur gets to balls that most players are already walking away from. Wide forehands, low backhands, balls driven right behind him. He tracks them all down and returns with enough quality to reset the rally and start the whole process again. Counterpunching is the natural style for this body type, and it works extremely well. Let the opponent generate the power, get the ball back, make them generate it again, and again, and again. The elastic defender does not spend energy attacking. They spend energy surviving, and they are exceptionally good at surviving for a very long time. Hewitt won multiple Grand Slams with exactly this formula. He outlasted bigger, harder-hitting, more powerful opponents by simply never missing and never running out of legs deep in the fifth set. The stamina holds up across full tournaments in a way that muscular players genuinely cannot match. A lighter frame running efficient movement burns significantly less energy per point than a heavier muscular build doing the same work. The limitation is power. De Minaur's ground strokes are consistent and well-placed, but they do not carry the weight that Nadal or Alcaraz produce. Against an opponent hitting freely and cleanly, the elastic defender has to work harder, grind longer, and spend more time on court to win the same points a powerful player resolves in 3 shots. More time on court means more energy spent and more wear accumulated across a deep tournament run. 5. Big booty. This sounds like a joke. It genuinely does. Until you watch Frances Tiafoe or Dominic Thiem hit a forehand, and you immediately stop laughing. Both players carry serious lower body size, powerful glutes, thick upper legs, a noticeably strong base that drives every shot from the ground up. Thiem at 6'1" during his best years produced one of the heaviest topspin forehands in the men's game. That shot did not come from his arms. It came from a massive explosive drive through the legs and hips that pushed energy upward through the entire body and into the ball at contact. The glutes and legs are the largest muscle groups in the body, and when a tennis player learns to activate them properly through a swing, the force transferred into the ball increases dramatically compared to what arms and shoulders generate working alone. Tiafoe uses the same lower body explosion to create pace and spin that his upper body would never produce independently. The movement benefits carry over too. Explosive lateral movement, the kind needed to cover a full tennis court at tour level, draws directly from those same muscles. Strong glutes push off harder. Strong legs stabilize direction changes faster. Tiafoe covers significantly more court than his frame alone would suggest, because his legs are genuinely powering every single step. The joints take a serious beating over time. knees, hips, and ankles absorbing the constant impact of explosive lower body movement across thousands of points and dozens of tournaments across a full career adds up to real physical damage. Thiem dealt with significant injury issues in the later part of his career. The lower body working at that intensity consistently creates wear that eventually demands attention. Thick, heavier build, stockier frame. Not shredded, not carrying obvious fat, just dense and solid all the way through. Built like a wall rather than a sprinter. Wawrinka at 6 foot and Nalbandian at 6 foot both carried noticeably heavier frames than most tour players at their peak. Neither man moved like Djokovic, neither covered court like de Minaur. Both of them hit the ball with a weight and authority that made top players genuinely uncomfortable. Wawrinka's one-handed backhand is the most discussed single shot in modern men's tennis, pure weight behind contact. The ball left his racket carrying force that opponents could feel through their strings on the return. That shot required a stable, dense base to generate from, and his thick frame gave him exactly that. The mass behind the swing transferred directly into the ball at contact in a way that a leaner frame simply cannot replicate on the same shot. Thick players are also incredibly difficult to destabilize in long rallies. A heavy ball driven into the body of a thick player does not disrupt their balance the way it disrupts a leaner player. They absorb it, reset their feet, and hit back with the same weight. Nalbandian made elite players look genuinely uncomfortable throughout his career because he stood in close, took the ball early, and returned it with enough weight to keep even the very best players permanently on the back foot. Stable, grounded, almost impossible to push around. Speed across the court is where things get difficult. Wide balls and extended baseline exchanges give up real ground to more mobile players. Hot and humid conditions are a significant problem too. Carrying extra mass through heat drains energy at a rate that leaner players simply do not experience. Both Wawrinka and Nalbandian dealt with conditioning and fitness challenges, particularly deep into tournaments played in warm conditions. 7. Short and lightweight. Shorter than average. Light frame. Small footprint on the court. Schwartzman is 5'7", Chang was 5'9". Both spent careers lining up against men 4 or 5 inches taller and significantly heavier. Both won matches that made very little sense on paper. The quickness shows up immediately. A lighter, shorter body gets moving faster off the mark. First steps to wide balls happen quicker. Direction changes mid-sprint cost less energy and complete faster. Schwartzman covers the court with a relentless energy that bigger players cannot sustain at the same pace across long grinding rallies. Getting low is completely natural. When a ball sits short at knee height, Schwartzman is already at that level. He picks up low slices, handles heavy kicking serves, and deals with short-angled balls with clean technique and full balance, while taller players are busy folding themselves awkwardly just to make contact. Endurance holds up deep into matches and deep into tournaments. Less body mass means less energy burned per point across a full match. Chang beating Sampras at the French Open as a 17-year-old in 1989 happened partly because his endurance allowed him to outlast an entire elite field across 2 full weeks of demanding conditions. The serve is the consistent problem. Low toss angle, reduced leverage through the swing, lighter body mass behind contact. Opponents identify it quickly and target it aggressively from the first game. Schwartzman faces among the highest breakpoint totals on tour consistently because the serve gives opponents a genuine opening every single match. Groundstroke power is harder to produce without mass driving the swing. On slow clay against heavy balls from bigger opponents, the difference in weight behind each shot becomes very noticeable across extended rallies. Every point has to be constructed carefully because finishing with raw power is rarely an option.